So good evening and welcome to this first session which I'm doing for our client set, clients and their families. So this is the very first session in this lockdown. I have done many sessions for different kinds of people, entrepreneurs, people from various associations, a lot of people. I mean, I have done for corporates and things like that. It dawned on me that probably this will be useful even for our client set. In fact, I mean, while I was talking to some of the people, they had given the feedback that while one of the persons is involved in these discussions, the other spouse may not be involved, and the children may not be involved, and because of that, other people may not be financially aware. So there was this standing request where we have heard that we need to do a session as far as other family members are concerned. So that is the genesis of say planning this webinar. So that there is somebody who is yeah, please put off, yeah, please mute that mic. Yeah, thank you. So that is the genesis of this initiative. I hope this will be useful. If there is sufficient interest, we will take this forward, and we'll be conducting many more sessions in future. So let me start with the session. So this is I want to set the expectation right. So in this session, it's going to be a basic financial planning session. For those of you who have been talking with us for a long period of time, this might be a repetition. So kindly pardon me, excuse me for that. But this is also meant for other people in the family who want to get that exposure, wet their feet, as I mean, as we say, in the field of finance. Okay, so I'm going to start with the very basics fundamentals, which is of course the income we earn. I'm going to start with that. So we all earn an income. We are familiar with the fact that okay, all of us will have to earn an income. Either we are uh, serving in some organization, or we are doing some business and we are getting some kind of an income on a monthly basis. So it is very important. All of us actually spend a lot of time in the workplace, maybe 30, 35, 40 years to earn that income. And after earning that income, it is after that only there is a bit of a problem. So once we earn the income, we do not know what to do. Most of us do not know what to do. So that the money actually sits there in the bank, and over a period of time, it gets shoveled into one instrument or other. And that too not by design, that when somebody actually comes in or lands up, it actually gets invested in one instrument or other. For many people, fixed deposit is an instrument of choice. A lot of people uh, have invested in fixed deposit because they are not fully aware about this domain. As far as financial domain is concerned, this is a domain which not too many people are very keen about, interested in, and that is one of the reasons why there are lots of mistakes and blunders which happen in this domain. And there are to compound the problem, in the case of every other field, be it a medical field, there is a doctor. In the legal field, there is a lawyer. In every field, even in the case somebody goes to a gymnasium, there is a gym trainer. For nutrition, there is a nutritionist. For anything to do with let us say a blueprint, creating a blueprint, there is an architect. So for in every field, there is a specialist who is actually helping us in that particular area. But in the field of finances, it is the person who is actually selling the product who is also doubling up as a person who is also giving the advice, and that is where the problem is. The person who is giving the advice, who is also selling the product, has a kind of a vested interest, and they may not be acting in the client's best interest. And that is where the blunders and mistakes and all those things start happening. So one of the important things as far as finances are concerned is that people will have to either pay attention as far as their finances are concerned, or they will have to actually confer with somebody who knows the subject, and that is the area we are in. I'm not trying to say that people have to come to us. So the point at issue is, as far as finances are concerned, we are spending 30, 35, 40 years to earn that money, but we are not really treating that money the way it deserves to be treated. It lies around in the bank account for a long period of time, and it gets invested very, very randomly, and that is where the problem is. So when we talk about planning for planning these investments, what really happens in other areas, unfortunately, does not happen in the area of finances. So suppose there is a birthday which is coming up in the family. We plan it meticulously. We take maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks to plan a birthday. And if it's a marriage, probably the planning extends to maybe 3 to 6 months. So in every area, even if it's a evening out on a Sunday or a Saturday, I think even for that we spend more time as compared to what we do for our own finances. So for every area in life, we spend time and we put in a lot of efforts in terms of planning. But when it comes to our finances, that is one area that is missing, and that is where the money mistakes actually starts coming in. So I want to talk about the basics of personal finance here, so that the money mistakes can be kind of minimized. So one of the first thing that I would want to talk about is, we talked about income, right? So a lot of people tend to think that income is wealth. So income is actually not wealth. In fact, most of the problems emanate because people tend to think that income is not enough, and they want to earn more income. The problem is seldom the income. It is actually two other areas which is a problem. One is expenses, and one is goals which are not in line with what they are earning. So we actually have to look into the other two areas, which is the expenses and the goals. And income is not really the area. I mean, we are not really saying that one should not strive to earn a good income, but the problem seldom is in terms of income. So having said that, let us move to the next one. The most important thing when we have certain money is liquidity, and that liquidity and contingency, these two things we keep talking about. Liquidity and contingency are very, very important. These are things where we put money for, say, suppose there are certain expenses, and suppose there is an income disruption, like we had it in the COVID times. So even if there is a disruption, the liquidity margin, or the amount we have kept aside for this kind of situation, will actually take care of that situation. So normally we suggest liquidity amount to the extent of up to 3 months for people who have a regular income coming in. For people who do not have a regular income coming in, depending on their requirement, depending on the situation, it can be maybe 6 months of expenses. It can be maybe more than that also for people who are in business, or people who are artists, or people who are into professions which where the income flow can be slightly erratic. For those kind of people, we suggest even up to 1 year of expenses. So liquidity is very, very important. The focus as far as liquidity is concerned is that it is not to earn money. It is a contingency amount which is kept aside to take care of the expenses. Now coming to contingencies can be of various kinds. So in some of the clients' families, we have seen that uh, they have especially parents who are elderly, and whose medical requirements need to be taken care of. And many of the cases, parents do not have an appropriate medical insurance. So in that kind of a situation, there can be a contingency. The timing of the contingency is not really known, but the contingency can come up at any point in time. Even the amount of contingency is not really known. So in those kind of situations, we suggest a contingency amount for our clients. There could be other situations where a contingency may be required. There could be other family members who may not be financially as, you can say, robust as one is, and there could be a need to support a brother or a sister or somebody else in the family, and those could be contingencies which we may anticipate. And so those are the two absolute basics that we need to take care while we plan the finances. So that is the absolute basic, and it is after that that we start talking about investments. In the case of young people, apart from the liquidity and contingency, these are people who are going to have a lot of a small goals coming up. So a person who has completed education, they are just starting work. So now this kind of a person may have a goal to buy a bike. They may have a goal to buy maybe a new laptop, maybe a new mobile, and so on and so forth. They may want to go on road trip or a vacation with their friends and other people. So there can be a lot of small things coming up. So we need to provide for all these kind of things also. I mean, uh, these are going to be there, and we need to be cognizant of that, and we need to provide for this kind of a thing. So we need to build some kind of a, you can say, base amount to take care of these kind of requirements. Lot of times we tend to hear that for young people can invest in equity, okay, because they have a long road ahead in terms of their earning life. But that is true after taking care of certain basics. So even for the young person, like I said, one of the things is they will have multiple goals coming up in the near future. When I say near future, maybe 1, 2, 3 years, and they may also want to plan for their own marriage. They may also want to plan for other vehicles and homes and stuff like that. So there are going to be multiple things which are going to come up in their life. So we have to build a bedrock of investments which will comprise of fixed income products and maybe some level of equity, but essentially fixed income oriented investments. We are talking about fixed income oriented investments because if the goals are coming up in the next 3 years, equity is hardly the product which we can rely upon. We have seen how the markets have gone up, and the markets have gone up without any real logic. I mean, this time the markets are fired up because of liquidity. And markets can come down for any number of reasons which we cannot fathom at the moment. So, because of all these things, we have to be very careful about putting money in equity for the short term. So, essentially, for the short term, we have to put money only in fixed income kind of a product, which is what we recommend. It is after taking care of all these bases that we have to go into equity, even for a young person. So the basic bedrock of investments has to be built in terms of fixed income securities, liquidity, contingency, and the required amounts for the various goals. So those are the very basic things that we need to do. And whatever investments we are doing, a lot of times again there is a kind of a wrong conception that as far as investments are concerned, is that, I mean, a lot of people come to us saying that I have, let us say, 2 lakh, I have 5 lakhs to invest, and can you help me to invest? So it's not possible for us to say, okay, you can invest this 3 lakhs or 5 lakhs or whatever amount, you can invest in this instrument or that instrument. It's very difficult for us to say. Because if you go to a doctor and you say I have a pain in the stomach, I mean, the doctor cannot say, okay, now you take this medicine and now you will be cured. So the doctor is going to ask a whole lot of questions, and they may also suggest certain investigations, and at the end of which they may be able to diagnose what could be the problem, and they may suggest a certain line of treatment. So similarly, in this case also, we need to understand what is the situation of a person personally and financially, and then we will need to find out what are the goals which are coming up, what is the risk profile, what is the income requirements, if any, what is the tenure needs of the person. Tenure means what is the term for which we want to invest, what is the liquidity, what is the taxation into which that person falls under. So there are many things which we need to understand, and whatever investment we are putting together for that person, the bouquet, the portfolio, the bouquet has to work for that person now and in future. So it has to have an overall purpose. When we put together a portfolio, it cannot be random investments, and that is precisely what we actually have a problem with. A lot of people who come to us for the first time, they just want to suggest us, I mean, want us to suggest some investment which is not really possible. So now there is something called risk profiling that we do. I mean, many of you would have done risk profiling. So it's a very important thing while we actually recommend some investment. uh, in terms of investment intent, a person may be conservative, a person may be aggressive, or anywhere in between. And we need to know that very clearly before actually putting together a portfolio. Because if we don't know that, and for an aggressive person, we give a very conservative portfolio, or vice versa, the person may probably not stick with the investments in the long term. At various points in time, uh, uh, they may want to get out of that portfolio, and probably at an inappropriate time. So it's very important for us to understand what is the risk profile of the person, and accordingly tailor make a proper portfolio. Uh, then the important thing when in financial planning is the goals. So what are the goals that a person typically has? So that is something that we need to be concerned about. The typical goals that people plan for is one is of course for people who are married and have children's education. People plan for their homes, they plan for vacations, they plan for multiple other things. Maybe ceremonies and maybe a second home and retirement. So now talking about retirement, while people talk about the retirement, I mean as a second thought, as an afterthought, a lot of people tend to neglect retirement till they are into their late 40s. So this is something that we have seen in a lot of cases. Of course, there are very notable exceptions where people have started talking about retirement well into their 30s, somewhere in their 30s itself. See, it is retirement is a very important goal. For people who are having a pension, then it is not really much of a problem. For all the others who do not have a pension, which is going to come at the retirement phase, it has to be very carefully thought through, and it has to be action. I would request that there is some sound coming in between. If you can kindly put off the mic, that would be helpful. So for every single goal, you will be able to borrow money, and you will be able to fulfill that goal. If you want a car, if you want a house, if you want to send your children abroad for education, in fact for every single goal you would be able to borrow money. But for retirement, which is a very long duration goal, like say it may be 20, 25, 30 years, that kind of a goal, for that goal you cannot borrow money. I mean, you will have to have the money right there upfront. Without that money, it will not be possible for you to fund that retirement, and one will have to either cut corners, or one will have to depend on the children, or one will have to look at the possibility of selling one's house to make ends meet. So retirement planning is a very important goal, somewhat neglected, but that is something that we need to focus on. Once upon a time, people used to live till 60, 65, 70. That is no longer the case. People are now touching 90, 95, 100. So whether we like it or not, we have to plan for a very long retirement. So it's very important. Retirement planning is very important. In fact, that is one of the most important things that we need to plan for in financial planning itself. We cannot really ignore that particular aspect. The other thing, while we are doing financial planning, is to while we are doing the financial planning, while we are meeting the goals and everything, there are there are security nets which we need to put around the family, so that in a situation where there are any adverse developments, the family will not be impacted, at least impacted majorly. So one of the security nets which is available is a term insurance, life insurance. So life insurance is absolutely a must, especially for a person who is earning a certain level of income, and there are goals and aspirations which are built, lifestyle which is built based on that income coming in over a long period of time. So a life insurance is absolutely a necessity, especially for people who have their own family, like they have a spouse and they have children, and they have probably other dependent people. So for those people, it is absolutely a must. Even for young people who have any kind of loans, it is absolutely a must. Even though they may not be married, they may be single. Even for those people, if they have a loan because they have taken some money for education, or they have a loan for maybe on a vehicle, or maybe sometimes even very young people take loans for a home. So in those kind of cases, if they are not there, the liability will fall on their parents. So it is essential for them to actually take a proper term insurance. The other important thing for everybody today, including young people, young adults, is a medical insurance. Whereas life insurance is something that can be required by a person, if at all, maybe once, if at all. Whereas medical insurance is something that will be required from time to time. Um, During the lifetime of a person, the medical insurance is expected to be used multiple times, and even very young people may require medical hospitalization and medical assistance at various points in time. So because of that, medical insurance is absolutely a must. Here I would want to talk about the company given cover. So a lot of people do have company given cover, but I would definitely urge people to have their own cover, because especially the youngsters today are moving from company A to company B in a matter of a few years. And while they are moving from company A to company B, and a lot of these people also uh, do their own business and startups. So in those kind of situations, suddenly you will not have a medical insurance policy, and if you are actually in a startup mode, you may not probably pay attention to this. So it is always better to have an insurance, even if you are moving from company A to company B, and you are having a sabbatical. If there is a problem during that sabbatical, you are actually going to be having a problem, and you may have to spend money from your own pocket. Medical insurance is not very costly. If one has a company given cover, one can have a basic cover. For young people, I would suggest a 3 lakh cover. That is good enough for at the initial period. But at a later point in time, I would want them to ramp it up to something like 5 lakhs. So for everybody, I would recommend a 5 lakh cover at the personal level, apart from whatever cover may be available from the company side. So that is, as far as medical insurance is concerned, absolutely necessary. As far as other insurances are concerned, those are good to have, not must have. The first two are must have. One is life insurance and one is medical insurance. The other insurance is critical illness insurance. So that is to be taken based on the family history and based on the risk perception of the people concerned. So today there are quite a few you can say critical illnesses which are prevalent, like heart related disease, like cancer, and these kind of things are reasonably prevalent, and we all of us would have heard about people near and dear ones and friends and family going through these kind of situations. So critical illness insurance is also a good thing to have, but it has to be for both the spouses. It cannot be for only one person, because any problem in the family on medical front, it is definitely going to impact the family finances. So it is not for one person; it is for at least the two adults in the family. So that is the other insurance. Personal accident insurance is also another insurance that we generally suggest to people. Today we are traveling to work. In the last calendar year, we have not really traveled much, but otherwise we travel to work, and a lot of people travel from city to city, or even outside the country, wherever the work takes them. So because of that, having a personal accident insurance also is a very good thing. There is a very good feature in the personal accident insurance, which is called a total temporary disability. So in a situation where a person is involved in an accident and is not able to work for a certain length of time, let us say 3 months or whatever, 6 months, something like that, because they have had a fracture, for example. Then they might have exhausted the leaves. They may not be getting a regular salary, and they may be having various expenses arising out of medical expenses because they are convalescing. So in that kind of a situation, this total temporary disability, again, it depends on what kind of policy you have taken, what kind of rider you have taken. But a typical rider which we suggest is something like 15,000 per week. That is the upper limit. 15,000 per week can be an amount that one can get to partially take care of the expenses that one is incurring till the time one is in a position to join back work. So that is also another insurance that we normally suggest. And home insurance is another thing. It's also inexpensive. Personal accident insurance is also an inexpensive insurance. So these are some insurances that one can consider. Yes, you are going to pay a premium in the case of all these insurances for sure. But we need to actually weigh the advantages and the amount of money that we are going to pay. We have to draw a line somewhere as to what kind of risk we want to keep with us, and what kind of risk we want to farm out to somebody else, which is an insurance company, by paying a premium. So that is something that we need to figure out, and that is one of the things that we do as a part of our financial planning. So it is very, very important. The other thing is in terms of loans and credit. Um, there is a concept of a good loan and a bad loan. Good loan is something that will help you in some way to create an asset or in some way prepare you for earning a higher income. Uh, as far as good loans are concerned, as far as the home loan is concerned, it is available, number one, at a comparatively low cost, and you get an asset. You create an asset. So that's a good loan. The other good loan which we normally talk about is the education loan. So if somebody is actually taking a loan and qualifying themselves, potentially they are going to be able to earn a higher income because of the new skill sets that they may have acquired. So these are good loans, but there are a whole lot of other loans which we are, seeing that people are wailing off, like a vehicle loan. I would not say it's a bad loan in that sense. I would say that it has to be calibrated. Well, these kind of loans, one has to think properly and then take the loan. Um, the important thing is that, ideally speaking, if one does not have the money to buy a small ticket item like a mobile, today loans are available for anything at all. Even if you are buying a shirt, it is available on a loan. But the point is, if somebody does not have the money even to buy a mobile, which is costing maybe 15, 20,000, one should really think whether I really require that mobile at all. So loans and credit should be a calibrated call. One cannot randomly get into loans, and a lot of these people operate on credit cards, especially the youngsters. We have to be very careful of that, and lot of these youngsters who are earning extremely well are in a mess because they have overreached themselves and they have taken too many products on loans. So that is something that I would like to caution right in the beginning, especially for young people. So lifestyle management is very important. There are lots of aspirations that we have in life. It is always a good idea to calibrate how we want to go up in life. It has to be definitely a couple of rungs below what we can actually comfortably manage. So that is what I would always suggest. Giving a car example, if you can afford a 20 lakh car, if you are staying with a 12 lakh or a 15 lakh car, things will be very much manageable, and you will be able to meet the expenses also arising out of that car purchase very easily. If What I find in some of the cases is that what they can actually manage is a 8 lakh car, they go for a 25 lakh car, which is where the problem starts. And then the credit, they start relying too much on credit for everything, and it's a vicious cycle and it's a slippery slope. So those are the broad things that I wanted to cover. There are things which I have not really touched upon. One of the things is concept of asset allocation. I think I have 2 minutes, so let me touch upon the concept of asset allocation. Uh, I mean, it is not important for us to earn a very high return. This is a fallacy. This is something that many people have this in mind. It is not important for us to earn a very high return. What is important to have in a portfolio is the correct mix of assets, correct mix of products in the portfolio. How much of equity, how much of debt, how much of gold, how much of real estate, and how much of commodity or any other product that you may want is something that we will have to actually figure out, and we will have to have in the appropriate proportion in the allocation. As an example, for a person who is in the retirement phase, anything more than 40% in equity is not something that we suggest. We do understand, and the other person also understands, that if we do not have too much allocation into equity, the overall return in the portfolio is going to be low. But the main point that we have to keep in mind is that in the case of a retired person, one of the most important things we need to keep in mind is capital preservation. It is not that very important that we have to earn an extra return by taking an extra risk. So we have to calibrate this properly. Probably a person at the younger stage in life can potentially take higher level of risk because he or she may have the ability to bounce back if there is a problem. But so that is precisely why, based on the life cycle, based on the goals, based on the particular requirements of the family, that asset allocation has to be properly. We will have to put in place, and appropriately we will have to review that, and at every point it should be an appropriate amount. I think I have come to the end of this. 30 minutes are over. Um, I would now request any of you who have a question to to ask me now.